Welcome, everybody. Before we call the meeting to order, we've had a loss in the municipality of District of Yarmouth, a great loss. The whole municipality of the District of Yarmouth mourns the passing of our former warden, Chris Perry. He was a councillor from '94 to 2004, serving as warden for his last 5 years. During his term as warden, he accepted the Cape Fourcheux Lighthouse Station from the federal government and was instrumental in the development of the Mariners Center. He served on several boards, including the Yarmouth Development Corporation, Yarmouth County Tourism, and the Yarmouth Industrial Commission. Chris was never afraid to voice his opinions and did so up until recently. I never had the chance to serve with Chris. However, his legacy will live on. On behalf of council, staff, and the residents of the municipality of Yarmouth, I wish to extend our deepest sympathies and condolences to his wife Frida and his family members. He will be very, very missed. Just like to take a moment of silence for Chris. Thank you. So I'll call the meeting to order. I'll use John's device. Yeah. Record of attendance. And we'll move to O Canada. Move to item 4, the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? Yes, CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to submit 2 items for information under in-camera, please. Public safety, an update for council on an issue, and contract negotiations, an update for council on an issue.
And do we have a motion to approve as amended? Councillor Hilton, seconder. Councillor Allen, all those in favor? Motion carried. We'll move on to item 6, the approval of the minutes. And we have minutes from September 9th, 20th, and 22nd to approve or to amend. Councillor Durkee?
I'm not sure if I should make the motion first. But I do have a question with regards to the minutes of September. Okay, I just get kicked out of my, hello, where are you? On the 9th,
Yes.
Try and bring this back up again. Sorry, it disappeared. Here we go. I was wondering, there was a, oh, sorry for the delay. A motion with regards to video conferencing, and it was here. Moved by Trevor to forward video conferencing to regular council for approval. The chair called 3 times and the motion died on the floor. And then it was moved by Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham. Is that a repeat? Or I'm just confused a little bit the way it was written. So if somebody could explain that, that would be helpful. Thanks. So once it was no motion to move forward, but then it was a motion to move forward.
So I think when a motion dies on the floor, I think in that same meeting, there can be a motion made again to move a document forward. So it can die on the floor, but then immediately following, there can be another motion.
I thought once a motion died on the floor, you couldn't redo the same motion.
I think it depends on what it is. We can go back and watch the video, and what we can do is table the approval of these minutes until we go back and double check the record, just to be sure.
As I recall, there were three things. There was video conferencing, social media, and communications. Was that the third one? Were there 3?
Yeah. So,
So I'm just confused at that. So yes,
Right.
Then I will move to table the approval of the September 9th minutes to the next meeting.
excellent. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Allen. All those in favor?
Right.
All those opposed? Motion carried. In the remainder of the minutes.
I'm on. I'm on, so I might as well continue.
Okay.
I will move to accept the regular council minutes of the September 20th, 21st, and regular council minutes of September 22nd, 2021.
Okay, we have a mover. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cushing. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 7, new business, the CAO report. CAO Brooks.
So I just submit the report for council to receive this evening, and we'll entertain any questions from council, Mr. Chair.
Okay, are there some questions or comments about the CAO's report? Oh, sorry. My apologies. Councillor Hurlbert. Sounds like a lightsaber.
I've got feedback.
I think we can hear you though if you
Okay.
speak. Yeah.
I'm just, through you to Madam CAO, the Lake Milo Master Plan, our consultations, can you just update us on that? I think we're finished the public consultation round.
So it's my understanding, last week there were some focus group conversations that were happening with some user groups, and that we're rounding out the consultations, which will then be developed into a what we heard report, and inform the final recommendations that the steering committee will send to council.
Is there a follow-up?
No, that's everything, thanks.
Okay, thanks. And additional questions of the CEO? There being, oh, yes, Councillor Allen.
Seeing as there's no further questions, I'll make a motion that we accept the CAO report as circulated.
Okay, we've got a seconder, Councillor Cushing seconding, but before we before I call for the motion, I do have a question. The sidewalks, the 2 or 3, depending on how you look at them, when will we have additional information in terms of, I know the tenders have been open, but has there been any awarding or that will take some time, I would expect.
Yep, so the competition closed yesterday. We opened the tenders yesterday afternoon, and just recorded what the final bids were. And so now staff is in the process of vetting the responses to make sure they comply with the tender specifications. It's anticipated that at the November committee, the whole, a recommendation will come to council.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're on to 7 point, oh, sorry. Councilor Cushing, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I noticed in the CAO report, which is very thorough and whatnot, where are we at with the letter to the province concerning issues at Johns Cove Beach? Has that been sent yet, or?
Yep, Mr. Chair, through you to Councillor Cushing. So the correspondence has been sent off. We've asked a few questions, and we're working on the briefing note.
Good, thank you.
Right, and my apologies, I don't believe I called for a vote. And it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. New business 7.2, possible housing stock. Councillor Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The provincial government is moving very quickly on trying to improve housing in Nova Scotia, and 35 million has been already allocated and set aside. And after tonight's meeting with Minister Lohr, it looks like you can continue to apply, even though some projects have been awarded already. What I would like us to think about is that we should be looking at if we have any properties or land available that we could kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Identify that we might be able to use for possible land for housing stock, that might be able to work with the provincial government to use that land, or work with developers to build some new properties. Also, they're going to be looking at what provincial properties are available, and I'd be interested to know whether we have any provincial property in the municipality of the District of Yarmouth that might be able to be used for housing. And I know in particular one that I would like to mention that I'm wondering if in places like Port Maitland or other small areas, clusters of villages, maybe Arcadia is another one, Carlton is another one. You know, we have a lot of seniors, and affordable housing is a lot of times for seniors. If there are areas like we do have Green Cove building for seniors, you know, is it possible to expand on that building, or is there more room on that piece of property for the province to increase the facility? And so it's something that I'm just wondering that if we can enter into discussions with housing to see if that's a possible direction that we may go. And so the two things, one is looking at what we have available, well, the big part is looking at what we might have available in terms of land that we can work with to develop.
Okay. Thank you for those comments. They're very useful, and I'd just like to also mention you've made me think of the Villa St. Joseph de Lac just here in Dayton, and they have quite a piece of land. I'm not that familiar with it, but that may you know, lend some possibilities as well. So
I think I actually would like to make a motion at this point to see if we could direct staff to look at possible housing stock or property that we might be able to use for development in the future.
have a seconder, Nick Hilton, Councillor Hilton. Seconds. Okay, we've got a mover and a seconder. Discussion. Councillor Allen. Sorry, my apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A great idea, Patty, or Councillor Durkee. So in the motion, are you looking for the land that is already belonging to municipality? Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that's where we were going. I was thinking an outward search would be a lot of work. Yeah. No, nope, super.
Thanks for the clarification. Additional questions? Yes, C.O. Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, we've had this discussion when the province first started talking about inventorying assets, so land and built structures in Nova Scotia that could be either utilized for affordable housing or have a change in use because maybe affordable housing is a better use. We talked about how would you approach that inventory? Because early on in the conversation, absolutely the lens was, let's collaborate with municipalities because they know their communities best. And how would you approach an inventory? And if we're looking at a pan-provincial response to the housing issue, there's got to be commonality in the data set so that we can analyze the data and all these sorts of things. So with council's permission in accepting the directive, just making sure that everybody would understand that that would happen within the broader provincial conversation, maybe leveraging regional relationships like the Western Wren and doing inventory work along with our partners as they do it, but definitely it needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gerke.
I just want to add that I think, if we take a proactive approach to this and we start looking at this now, that if we have that inventory available, if there is anything, then it would be great to be able to jump on us if a developer's looking for land, or if we can work with people in the region to, yes, jump on this fast while there is money available and try to get things going in our area as soon as possible.
So shovel ready in a sense. Okay. So we've got a mover and a seconder. All those, any additional comment or question? Okay. Question being called. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. You're welcome. So we're moving on to old business and 8.1 recommendations from Committee of the Whole. 8.1.1 is the flag policy F-046-21 draft revisions. What's the pleasure of council? Oh. Councillor Herbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that the Municipality of District of Yarmouth recommend flag policy F-046-21 for approval.
Okay, thank you. And a second, do we have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Allen. Any discussion or question? Councillor Hilton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know you guys were all aware of some of the concerns I had with the draft policy around the ideas of flag etiquette. So through a couple conversations with community members and our CAO, I would like to propose an amendment to the motion so that we can, I definitely want to see the flag policy passed, but there was a section of it that I felt kind of limited what we could do as a municipality, and maybe maybe limited, where we could put the flags in making sure that they were properly displayed. So I'd like to make the motion to amend the proposed policy. I should probably say the policy number F-046-21, striking section 3.3, which speaks directly to where we would have put them, and recognizing section 3.1 that speaks directly to following federal and provincial flag policy guidelines. So I don't think I'm changing it any. I'm just giving staff the ability to follow through on what proper etiquette would be. So that's what I'm putting on the table.
So we've got a mover to amend. Do we have a seconder to amend the motion? Councillor Durkee seconds the, apologies, you also want to speak?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so you're seconding?
I will second
then
the
speak, okay.
motion, and just wanted to, wondering through you to Councillor Hilton, if he could clarify that specific section actually means. I believe I'm right, but correct me if I'm wrong, is that we align all four flagpoles. Is that the part that you were referring to?
So section 3.3, the one that we were going to strike, it talks about having 4 versus 3 flagpoles and having the Canadian flag displayed higher than the rest. I think that personally limits what flags you can fly and how you can fly them. So recognizing section 3.1 would give staff the ability to kind of research it and make sure that we're flying them within proper protocol. In my understanding is one of those ways could be 4 flagpoles in a row at the same level. And I know that we've possibly ordered one already, and we have had some discussions how that may happen, but I'll leave that up to the staff to make sure we're following federal and provincial practices.
Okay, and if I may, the only thing I
Certainly.
ask is, the flag policy is listed here, but the policy actually is not attached, unless that's my mistake.
It,
Just was it attached here? 'Cause
no, I found it in the committee of the whole.
Okay, and just wondering if next time we could have the actual, I know there was the committee of the whole motion was here, but just wondering next time maybe if we could have the actual policy attached, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Yes, that's a good suggestion, Councillor Durkee. And so, as far as clarity around the piece, I'm seeing C.O. Brooks would like to speak, so we'll move to C.O. Brooks.
So, Mr. Chair, I just would like to kind of add and build out on Councillor Hilton's comments. You know, as we've been working on the flag policy and trying to, with respect and sincerity, modernize our approach to flying flags, I think Section 3.3 could have caused actually some conflict over time, because the federal protocols would supersede Section 3.3. So what we have found is, since our building was built, protocols have been modernized and amended. And so if we always defer to the federal protocols, then we can ensure that the way we display flags is consistently modern.
Right, so that seems like a reasonable amendment, and we'll avoid that issue of the updates of the federal policy conflicting with our new policy. So, having said that, there are additional comments, I guess. Councillor Hurlbert, sorry, you're kind of over there in the corner, so they're harder to see.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Councillor Hilton, for that amendment, and to C.O. Brooks. I think that, you know, it is a work in progress. This is better than what we had, and, you know, to your point, we could be wrong in the future, and, you know, our wording, and we might have to go back and, you know, I shouldn't say wrong, but, you know, we may have to update it to be, you know, to be in line. So I think that eliminating, you know, 3.3, you know, is in our best interest for the future. Thank you.
And so, any further comment for the questions called? Question called for. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. And now we'll move back to the original motion. We've got a question? Yeah, okay. We had a mover and a seconder, just to be, okay, my apologies. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. So the next order of business is First Nations land acknowledgement. What's the pleasure of council? Councillor Hurlbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion that council approve the land acknowledgement that was submitted at our last committee of the whole, which says, we would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on traditional lands of the Acadia First Nation, part of the Mi'kmaq, the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people, and all that entailed at the committee of the whole. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hurlbert. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Lauren Cushing. It was a foot race. I'm not sure who had their hand up first. But Any additional comment or question? Councillor Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just would like to thank council for, considering 8.1 and 8.11 and 8.12. I think those are strong. It's recognition that we're trying to move forward and working on our strategic plan. I know the flag policy was a long road to get to that point, so I'm happy to see that passed, as well as the land acknowledgement. So it's a congratulations to all of us, really, and that's probably not the right word, but it was a lot. It was a big step. So I'm excited to see what we can do next. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hilton. I think those words are as good as any, for sure, and thank you for making the comments. And I would like to thank staff for reaching out and doing their due diligence, and all of council for a fulsome debate on both those topics. I think by doing our due diligence as a council, we've got it right. So, okay, so we've got a mover and a seconder. Question called for. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And 8.1.3, request to form a REMO to Minister Lohr. What's the pleasure of council? Oh. Councillor Durkee.
I'll make the motion that we, in cooperation with the municipality of Argyle and town of Yarmouth, write a letter to Minister Lohr requesting the formation of REMO.
Thank you, Councillor Durkee. Do we have a seconder?
You're welcome.
Got a seconder, Councillor Cushing. Additional question or comment? There being none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody. Deer crossing signs. What's the pleasure of council?
It says Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham was bringing this up, so.
I brought it up. I'll just have to wait. We've got the recommendation. I brought it up at the committee of the whole, and we had a good conversation. So I'll make the motion if that's all right then. I'll move that the municipality of the district of Yarmouth contact the Nova Scotia Department of Public Works and ask about how it is determined when the signs will be placed and where. Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. Any additional questions? Councillor Cushing.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Warden. Deer crossing signs. Are we going to put 1,000 of them up? There's deer everywhere.
Well,
How do they determine where you're going to put them?
maybe more than 1,000. I think there's 1,000 just in my neighborhood. But I guess if I recollect back to our committee of the whole, that the purpose is more as a general, heads up that there are deer all around the area, and including folks that visit the area, like the fair I'll be running next year. So it may be useful for them to be fully aware of the issue, because there are a lot of deer strikes, and maybe just keep people mindful, including young people, that it's an ever-present concern and danger. So, yeah.
If I may, I believe in Newfoundland they have beware of moose or something like this on the roads, right? So be something similar to that, I would say, right? To be aware of that kind of stuff.
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Hill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I've had several contacts about several different types of signs with Department of Transportation over the last couple months, and I happened to mention the deer sign as well, and this was some of the information that I was given. The signs are restricted for locations where there is a demonstrated need, which clearly Dayton and Hebron could be that area if you've driven through there. It's usually collision data, deer kills, etc. Land and Forestry usually has info on this, and we generally erect the sign when Lands and Forest recommend it. They will forward a copy of the policy to us, and I'll forward it to both of you. But yeah, that's usually how it works. So hopefully we can. I mean, I drive through Dayton and Hebron all the time. There's families of, like you said, hundreds. So hopefully we can do something for the safety of your residents and others.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilor Hilton. Councilor Durkee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to comment that there are a couple of, I mean, we have deer everywhere. And I have to tell you, I drove home, through town on the Brooklyn Road and down across from Dayton Fruit and Vegetable. And there were more deer in that area than anywhere else that I've seen, like through town. It was incredible. But there are a couple of areas in your district. I mean, we all know when we're driving out on some of the back roads that we have to be careful. But I think people from away who come here and are driving the Highway 1 through Hebron, and if they use Lakeside Road in particular, those are particularly dangerous spots. So I support you in the request, particularly for those areas.
Absolutely, and it's not going to solve the entire issue, but if we can, you know, move ahead incrementally, anything certainly will help. So I'm not seeing any additional comments, so I'll call for all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And the next item is 8.1.5, road naming approval for a private road. What's the pleasure of council? Councilor Hurlbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that the municipality district of Yarmouth approve the private road named Glover Lane, Somerville, to be changed to Harris Lake Road, Somerville.
Okay, we have a mover. Do we have a seconder? Councilor Durkee seconds the motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 8.1.6, application of policy R-002-03. What's the pleasure of council? Councilor Durkee.
Thank you. I'll make the motion that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth approve the application for reduction in tax by the amount of $261.88 for property AAN number 0349627 under policy R-002-03.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Durkee. We have a mover, seconded by Councilor Allen. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
I just wish I had one of those red buttons from Staples for the last two motions so I could go, that was easy.
We're going to get one for Councilor Hurlbert, where she's over there in the corner, a bigger light. 8.1.7, diversity and inclusion. Pleasure of council. Councilor Hurlbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth approve that a Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee be included as part of the Diversity and Inclusion Program being developed by the municipality.
Okay, the motion has been moved. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councilor Durkee? Any additional conversation? Or... Councilor Allen?
Yes, apparently I don't have that on my agenda. So I wasn't at the last committee of the whole, so maybe someone could just, do I look to Councilor Hurlbert or CAO Brooks, just to give me a little, we're forming a new committee, who's going to be on it kind of thing? Like, I'm not seeing, I have no information in front of me about this.
Right, we did talk about this at length at committee of the whole, but having said that, It is connected to our strategic plan and what we're going to be doing, but the CAO can provide some additional details about next steps, which is what I think you're looking for.
Yeah, I guess,
so.
well, I guess if I'm voting on a motion for
Absolutely.
something, I'd just like to know what I'm voting. I don't have it in front of me I never had it in front of me to read, so.
So, Councillor Allen, to you through the chair, at the committee of the whole discussion, it was brought forward by Councillor Hurlbert that in developing our diversity, equity, and inclusion program, an advisory committee to council could be very helpful. So we didn't really get into kind of the weeds around what would the terms of reference be, what would the mandate be, and all that. But the direction is that as I continue to develop a draft program to bring to council for approval, that be something that's included in it. So we're going to have to go down that road and ask those questions and figure out, what it is you'd like that advisory committee to do to help you. But for now, it's just that there be an advisory committee as part of the program, knowing that there'll be lots of next steps to kind of fine tune the details around that.
Oh, okay. No, thank you.
You're welcome, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, CAO. Councillor Hilton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I think just further to that, I think the two motions around the flag policy, the land acknowledgement, all those things, we went back and got advice from stakeholders, and this just kind of precedes that and makes sure that they're consulted before we do, before we come to council with a policy that affects members of our community. And I think it's something that, we like to be involved. I think we're a very involved council, and this also, this committee would probably also have a few councillors attached to it as well, so hopefully. So I think it's a great motion to have on the table and is part of the diversity and inclusion plan.
Councillor Durkee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to CAO Brooks. Thank you for actually including equity, and I'm just wondering if we should be amending the motion to include a diversity, equity, and inclusion and advisory committee. So I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that we include equity in the terminology. And I also would like to say that I think it's really important as we go forward that we actually, one of the first steps as part of this diversity, equity, and inclusion program is that we form the committee at the beginning so that we have a committee to refer to and help us with direction where we are going.
Okay.
So you caught the motion, that's a motion to amend.
Motion to amend, so
Yes.
there's a mover for the amendment. Is there a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Hilton seconds. Any conversation on the amendment? There being none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carried. So we have the amendment carried, and all those in favor of the original motion? All those opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, everybody. So we're moving on to item 9. The correspondence for action, and 9.1.1's the Western Wren Energy Project residential retrofits. It's the pleasure of council. Oh. Sorry, Councillor Durkee.
I don't know, I think I'm keeping everybody busy tonight. Thank you. So after reading through this, the Western Wren is looking at an energy project, and looks like they're studying the fact that some households are drawing much more energy than they should be. And so what they're asking for is support. It mentions $1,200, but in kind, so that we can work on this project moving forward. So I think what they're looking at is at some point, you know how we already have like the PACE program for water, that that they are working with the FCM to try and gain funds to work towards energy improvements in specific homes that are drawing more energy. And we all know right now that we are drawing, we're getting near to depletion on our energy grid. So I believe that's part of that whole project. So I just need to get the wording properly for what they were asking for. And so they're asking for a letter. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Western Wren's request for a letter of support, and an in-kind amount of $1,200 is requested for staff allocated to get a data set together. So I'm not sure if I made that motion correctly, but
Thank you, Councillor Durkee. Sounds pretty good.
yeah,
for
it says a
sure.
letter
Yeah.
of support. We're a letter of support. There's no financial contribution, but an in-kind amount of $1,200 requested for staff time to collect the data.
You've got it. That's the piece.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thanks.
Do we have a mover? Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cushing? Just like to add one comment. Patty touched on it a bit. It was tremendously interesting that by making homes potentially more efficient and saving some energy, it does free up some energy for industry in the area. And again, we do have transmission issues down here in terms of getting lots of electricity to potential customers. So that's a fantastic thing, and we may be able to build out, if we become efficient enough, additional production in the area. So that's helpful. Any additional comments before I call for the vote? No? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. The next item is 9.1.2, Remembrance Day Service Invitation. So we'll just get this up. My apologies, I'm just waiting for it to download. So this is, so there's a Remembrance Day service planned for the Mariners Center this year, as well as a small service at the Yarmouth Cenotaph. Is Poppy Chair for Branch 61 of the Royal Canadian Legion. I would like to invite you to attend our service at the Mariners Center on November 11, 2021, or if you wish, you may attend the service at the Cenotaph. Please arrive at or about 10:30. Thank you, yours truly, Ken Dennis, Poppy Chair, 2021.
So, Mr. Chair, the warden has confirmed in RSVP that he would be accepting that invitation, and I think he briefed council on that, maybe via an email, but just wanted it in your package so that the community would be aware.
Okay, thank you for that. And the next, the next item on the agenda is 9.1.3, and it's the credit union. The credit union is Credit Union Place. Yes, I was searching for the word. It's the Credit Union Place, 30 Vancouver Street. So what that is, it's the new residence for doctors that will be serving at the Yarmouth Hospital and so forth, or in the Yarmouth area. And there's an open house Thursday, November 4th at 11 a.m. Proof of vaccination required. RSVP by November 2nd to Tracy, 902-742-3074. Or you can email at info@yarmouthchamberofcommerce.com. So that again is on our website as an attachment, so folks can see that in our agenda. Councillor Durkee.
Very exciting time for doctor recruitment in Yarmouth County, because this building has come together after a lot of research, and it looks like it's going to be amazing. And just to add to what the deputy warden mentioned, is the building will be used for students who come and have short-term visits here, for locums, for people who are coming and doing work at the hospital, and for the residents. And certainly we found that through the doctor recruitment and retention committee, that's one of the things that was greatly lacking. So we're leading the pack and being able to provide that. The only problem is it's unfortunate that Thursday, November 4th, at that time is also the NSFM fall conference. So I will be unable to attend, but I hope that one of you might be able to go at that time.
Thank you, Councillor Durkee, and that's great news for the community and for potential to attract doctors to the area. Councillor Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I work that day, but I'm making time to attend the opening, so I'm looking forward to that. And I was just wondering, being new, if it would be unreasonable to ask that we send a letter of appreciation to the credit union for investing in our community. Like, I think it's, this stuff like this doesn't happen very often, and they did a wonderful job. They invested in an old building with the idea to fix that. It wasn't good enough, so they tore down the building they paid for and started from scratch. It was not a small project, and I think it's much needed in the community. I'm excited for them and us, so I'd like to make that a motion that we send a letter to the local credit union in appreciation.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Hilton. We have a mover. Councillor Durkee seconds. Any
Yeah.
other additional comments?
If I may, I'd like to see that we include Chamber of Commerce, because they've been working with them on this project.
Absolutely.
So thank you. Great suggestion, Councillor Hilton.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And next item is 9.2, for information. That's simply for information. If there are any comments on those items, you certainly may make them. The only, there being none, I will make a little comment about the streetlight report. There was a streetlight refusal, and community member wanted a streetlight, and there is a requirement with the policy, or it's not absolutely a requirement, I guess, but the councillor typically writes a letter request, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing, because then if staff refuses it, I'm not sure how the optics of that in a sense, right? So perhaps we could look at, not tonight, but perhaps we could give some thought to that policy and have the councillor interaction, because it's all great if it comes back positive. In this case, the problem was that the pole was not owned by Nova Scotia Power. It was owned by a private entity, and as such, our policy doesn't allow us to put streetlights on, property that's owned by a private entity other than Nova Scotia Power. So, having said that, I think we should perhaps revisit that, but I'll leave my comments at that unless there's additional ones. Okay, thank you so much. No, I think that's just perhaps just a comment to staff. They can look at it and no motion, because I'm not sure just where they'll go with it. But perhaps we could bring that back to committee of the whole. Yeah, maybe on the agenda. That's probably a good idea, Councillor Herbert. Yeah. So there being no further comment on the for information piece of correspondence, we'll move to reports. Legal entities, and again, as Warden Cunningham does, I'll do the same thing. Any reports from legal entities? Councillor Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It just happens that I am on 3 of these committees, so I'll make it quick. The Western Counties Regional Library, again, they've had to pivot back and forth with regards to due to COVID, and so most recent discussion is about making, the staff, thinking about whether the staff need to have vaccinations. And as it turns out, you can go to the library without being vaccinated, but you cannot attend programs, organized programs without being vaccinated. So I wanted to share that with you. Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association, they're doing an amazing job promoting the area as always. The 55 games was a huge benefit, and we've been looking at documentation and data to show that there has been some improvement in the number of people visiting our area. And of course, the announcement that Bay Ferries that will be sailing here next year, and they've actually been here doing trials. So a letter's being forwarded to Bay Ferries to look at, what's the schedule plan, and let's hope that that continues to move forward. And attached to the Western Regional Economic Network Liaison and Oversight Committee is the CEO report.
Thank you,
Being done.
Thank you. Excellent, thank you. Additional comments, Councillor Cushing?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I just want to let people know that Yarmouth County Solid Waste Park will be having a meeting on November 2nd. It's been a very active committee, and there's lots of things on the table that we're trying to work to try to reduce the cost of our solid waste, and it's very difficult and challenging progress that program that we're doing, right? So just to let people know that the Yarmouth County Solid Waste Park is very involved in trying to look after our citizens in the 3 municipalities.
Thank you, Councillor Cushing. Those comments are appreciated, and it's important work for sure. Additional comments from that category? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to advisory reports. So these are from the advisory committees. Councillor Hurlbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to report briefly on the Accessibility Advisory Committee. We met yesterday. We're moving forward. Our final plan will be due to the province the beginning of April, so that means it has to come to council early in the new year for approval. We've got some action items that we're working on, and I just made a note to myself at our next meeting to make a motion that we have a report, a more in-depth report for you for maybe the end of the council meeting for the end of November. Thanks.
Thank you. Looking forward to that. That's important work. Additional comments from that? Oh, yes. Councillor Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, thankfully, the Doctor Recruitment and Retention Committee continues to meet on a regular basis and get reports, and there has been a most recent report with the data from the province, and so I will be asking our staff to attach the most recent report from NSHA. I will tell you, doctor recruitment and retention is not easy. And it's very unfortunate. We did have some doctors, our residents who stayed here because of COVID and who are now leaving. And so it's a continuous revolving door, and it's really important now that since COVID regulations are being eased, that we put on, we go out full force and start traveling to try and recruit more doctors to the area. And but the good news is there's always someone coming to visit. I had a visit the other day with someone which went really well, and we just have to sell our community, and we have a great community, and it's a great place to work, and we'll continue to work really hard to bring new people to our area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Durkee, and I'm glad that we've also got a whole bunch of people in the community that are pulling more doctors in and doing that hard work on an ongoing basis. So that's really, really critical too. Additional comments in that section? Okay. Oh, Councillor Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Deputy Warden and I both, and Councillor Durkee, sit on the PAC committee, and we had two very important meetings this week around aquaculture education, and we've heard a lot from the community, so I think it's important for the community to know the importance of letting your council and your PAC members know your thoughts for or against the amendment to the municipal planning strategy. And also that there is another project out by the PAC that you can look at www.planmodi.ca, also to give suggestions around the review of the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw. Both of these things are related, but also both are very important. So a lot of the community, the one thing they say is they are unaware of what is going on. So this is a good place to mention that. So let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hilton. Additional comments? Okay, I'm just surveying the room, okay. Finally, the ad hoc committees. Anything from the ad hoc committees? Councillor Hurlbert.
Thank you very much. Under 10.3.2 Mariner Center Expansion Committee, although I'm not on the committee, the attachment talks about the Mariners on Main soft opening and grand opening, and you know, it's a huge, I think, boost for our community. And you know, I want to congratulate, you know, the 3 municipalities for working together to get this open so quickly. I remember a year ago, after being elected, you know, for me, my district, it was, you know, a hot topic of, you know, concern for people. And I guess I sit here proudly that a year later, less than a year later, with all of our hard work, along with, you know, the Mariner Center board and all of their staff, that we have a facility that's open until we can get our Mariner Center expansion completed. So kudos to all of us.
Thank you, Councillor Hurlbert. And yeah, lots of work there from all the councils and some good collaboration. And you know, we can definitely work together when on the important projects. So I'm thankful to everybody, and glad to see the kids and people of all ages, you know, enjoying the Mariners on Main facility. So, okay. Next item's the warden's report, and that's certainly online and available. And John provided, or Warden Cunningham provided a series of meetings he attended, and also some comments about Remembrance Day and so forth. So are there any comments or questions about the warden's report? Okay, there being none, we'll move on. I'll ask that we have a motion to move in camera. I have a mover in Councillor Hurlbert, seconder, and Councillor Cushing. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.